A window. That's all it is. A small, tiny window, which you hoped would offer a glimpse to another world, another time. However, that's not always the case. It may simply be a picture of the ones you will soon help bear the burden of their journey. In such little space lies the gate to such wonderful adventures. This is Power On Podcast. And welcome to another episode of Power On Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Taylor, and with me, as always, is my cohort in action, Sushi. How you doing?
Not too bad. I'm a little nervous for today's episode because I'm not sure how it's going to pan out, but I'm excited for it. I think it's an interesting topic, but I am admittedly a little nervous that it might bomb, but let's try it out. I am excited still, too, so yeah.
I see. And yeah, well, I guess with that vote of confidence, the topic for today is the art of box art.
Yes, sir.
And we kind of came up with the topic a while ago, long while ago, and didn't really know how to tackle it. And we figured that, I guess, kind of just go for what comes to mind. I guess that's kind of what came to mind when thinking about the topic. I don't know if that's... I guess we'll soon discover what we kind of came up with here. So,
Right.
do you want to start us off, or?
No, I'd like to actually give the reins to you. I think you've got something up your sleeve. I don't know what, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say. So I think this is going to be a bit of a goofy one. I think there's going to be some positive box art that we really enjoy, and hopefully some pretty shitty ones too.
Well, I do want to take a note to comment on that. Is I, for the most part, don't remember really bad box art. Yeah, there's some that kind of come to mind, like the Mega Man one. I mean, that's always a common one to bring
Kind
up.
of a given, yeah.
Right, that everybody's just like, oh man, that's so terrible, and it is. It's like a 80-year-old gorilla in a Mega Man suit. It looks really bad, but
It was like a 1970s sci-fi, cover of a novel that nobody read.
spin-off of Planet of the Apes.
Something, yeah, maybe.
But so I honestly, what I kind of came up with isn't, I guess, filled with really bad ones. There is one that kind of comes to mind, but we'll get into that. I do have to say that as big of a fan as I am of Dragon Quest, a lot of the Dragon Quest box art, I'm kind of meh towards.
This is the Japanese or the North American?
The Japanese. This, for the most part, this is going to be all Japanese.
Okay, so your stuff will be mostly Japanese box art.
Right.
Okay.
That's what kind of comes to mind. So.
Okay, with this, yeah, I tried to make a stipulation of not comparing box arts from different regions.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to just go with the stuff that I knew.
Well, this is the stuff that I know.
Right, so and that's totally fair.
Right.
So you might have to explain the box art a little bit to me, because that is one of the aspects of this episode is we are not going to be sending each other pictures during the episode or anything. We're just going to be trying to explain it if you don't know what it looks like, hopefully to comedic effect. But we'll see if it pans out well enough or not.
Well, yeah, I say that for the Dragon Quest box art because a lot of the times I kind of like box art that takes up the whole box.
Okay.
And a lot of the Dragon Quest box art doesn't. It kind of is framed in there.
Right, it has like a border always.
Right, and it's kind of like, man, they're not using all of the potential of the box. So
yeah.
Looking through, that's kind of something that came to mind, as well as people tend to knock on a lot of the first-person shooters with a lot of the box art that they have, or it's just maybe the one main character walking from explosions or something. I don't know, it's that sort of thing. But you could say pretty much the same thing for a lot of RPG box art, where they have the group of protagonists, or maybe like the main protagonist, and then something kind of integral to the story is maybe in the background or something, while like the characters are in the foreground. And so you could kind of point a finger at JRPGs too there and be like, well, it's the same. They're doing kind of the same thing. It just looks different because there's just such a vast array of it as opposed to first-person shooters. So I wanted to get those points out there.
Actually, I don't disagree at all with that. And to my surprise, as I was doing some quote-unquote research for this episode, oddly enough, most games are like that, actually. It doesn't matter the genre. I mean, you look at a Mario game, who's at the front and center? It's always just Mario, right? I don't know. I was actually kind of disappointed. I never really thought about it, that it's just the main character or a few characters on the cover. And that's kind of it. They're just kind of, here it is. It's really cut and dry. I mean, sometimes it is because the art is beautiful, so we maybe get drawn to that or whatnot. But half the time, it's actually kind of lazy. You're just like, okay, it's Sonic. He's got 2 fingers up, and it's Sonic 2. It's just, I don't know. I don't say that they didn't put an effort or anything. They're just very, very generic in a lot of ways.
What they were going for was minimalism.
I guess so, but there is a very good line between. I don't know. I have a few ones that I think are done very minimalistic, and it fits that game or genre very well, compared to just saying, here is this game, and here's the main character. So that's the end. Buy the game because the main character's on the cover.
And he's fucking sweet, yeah.
Yeah, or whatever. So anyways, let's go right into it.
Okay.
Let's get off the drama train and just get into some pain here.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because there's a couple things that kind of came to mind when doing this. So I guess the first one I kind of wanted to point out that I get box art that I really, really enjoy is, have you ever played Rocket Slime?
Yes, I have. There's only been one North American release, so you might have to explain the cover to me.
Okay, well, I don't know how the cover is for the American version, but the Japanese version, and this is for the Game Boy Advance, it has the good old slime kind of shooting towards the left a little bit, and all of his slime buddies kind of here and there. Honestly, I haven't played it yet. I've been wanting to play. I bought this game.
So you bought it just because of the box art? Or?
Well, I bought it because it's slime.
Which version is this? Sorry, I think you said, and I
Game Boy Advance.
Okay, so this is the Game Boy Advance. Is it a yellow box?
No, it's blue.
It's predominantly blue?
Blue with, you have all the different kind of monsters from Dragon Quest in there and stuff.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, and it's just kind of got them. It's really, it's not really kind of too definitive what kind of game it is. By just looking at the box art, you just kind of see that you're going to be using a slime, and it's going to be awesome because you are using a slime. But
well, it sounds very similar to the one that came out in North America. I think that the North American one is just basically a port of the DS. Maybe the second the second GBA game or something. I don't remember exactly, but the cover of the North American one has, I think, the slime tank on it, and he's shooting to the right, if I remember.
Oh yeah, they don't have any sort of tanks or anything. It's
okay,
just
so this
very
is different.
It's very kind of cartoonish and very
cutesy,
kiddie,
right?
Cutesy,
yeah.
Right? So it's definitely geared for a younger audience. But there's slimes on it, and you gotta love slimes.
Well, even despite the fact that you like slimes that much, I would definitely recommend the game. It's actually really fun. It's very different. It's sort of RPG-ish, but kind of not too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fun game.
I have played like 10 minutes of it, but I just haven't really had the chance to sit down and really, really play it. My youngest brother, he loves the game to pieces. Well, the DS game to pieces.
Right. Yeah, it's really good.
And yeah, so, but yeah, that's definitely one that came to mind. So
awesome.
Over to you.
All right, I unfortunately have a very giant list here, so I'm going to try to pick and choose as best as I can. And if we're running a bit short on time, maybe I'll just fire through them quickly.
Okay.
But the first one I've got is one that a lot of people actually think is pretty shitty, or just, looks kind of goofy. And it is The Adventures of Bayou Billy. I think that the cover to Bayou Billy really sells it.
Because he's standing in a swamp,
He's just standing in the swamp with the knife, and he's got the bandana on his knee where his jeans are ripped at the knee and stuff. But in the background you have, I can't remember the villain's name, but he's got his little wand with like this lightning bolt coming out of it, and he's holding the girl Annabelle. And at the bottom there's like a crocodile swimming, past his feet kind of thing. And the bottom left shows the Jeep truck that he drives in the game. Mm-hmm. He's holding his pistol and it's firing, and he's driving into the big city lights of what I suppose is New Orleans or something. But I just it's just kind of funny, goofy, playful fun on the cover, and you know what you're getting into. I mean, and it does kind of at least mimic what's in the game. You know how a lot of those old games didn't do that.
Right.
They'd have some random shit on the cover. At least this cover shows you characters that are in the game and things that are in the game, which is a positive for me, anyways, a positive. And it's got I always like the Konami, the silver border that a lot of the NES games had. Castlevania and I don't know, the Goonies too, and Stinger, those kind of games. They always had that silver border that I always thought that was kind of cool. So easy to see that it was right away. It was a Konami game.
Yeah.
So yeah, buy you Billy.
I see. So back to me then.
Yeah, back to you.
All right. Next one I have here is the cover for Super Metroid. Now I honestly do not remember the North America's cover at all. So this could be completely different or it's the same. I didn't own very many games in North America, so the cover is kind of it's kind of dark. It's very dark in the background and stuff, and it has the major bosses or at least a couple of the major bosses in the game. You have Ridley,
right,
and is it Kraken, the giant thing with the fingers that flew around and stuff.
The giant green thing.
Yeah, he's kind of 2 stories tall.
Right, I don't remember his name.
It's got him and you can see them and stuff, and it's really, really dark with greens and stuff, and kind of definitely gives you that vibe. It's subterranean. With the kind of the ground and stuff, and then you have Samus kind of jumping towards you in the foreground while about ready to blast those 2 mofos with her gun. So, and it's very kind of like comic book art style, I would say.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I don't know if that's the same as the North American.
Sounds similar. I think the North American one just has Samus jumping sort of towards you, and she's twisted her body to the direction that, as the same as you said, she's shooting, but she's actually shooting Ridley in the face. Well, if I recall. It sounds similar.
Yeah, let's say, yeah, not really shooting in the face because the projectile, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know.
It sounds very similar. The art definitely sounds very similar to like comic booky 90s comic book type art. But it fits for Metroid, for at least that style of Metroid game. It seems to fit pretty well.
Right, it definitely, I think, kind of, it's a nice allusion to the game, kind of, I guess. Yeah, I think that's the word I would want to use. But it's very selling, and it's pretty cool, and you're like, man, that looks pretty awesome. And if you weren't very aware of Metroid back in the day and you saw that, you're like, oh, it looks like I'd give it a shot there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's one that kind of came to mind as well. So, back to you!
All right. I'm still going to stick on the NES train for a little bit here. Just going down the list, and there's quite a few, so NES is so hit or miss in a lot of ways. But another really good one that I really like is the Double Dragon 2, The Revenge box art, which I think was also the arcade cab art. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think it was, or maybe it was similar. Have you seen this box art before?
I don't remember whatsoever.
Okay, so basically the box art is Billy and Jimmy it seems to be on some sort of scaffolding going towards maybe a helicopter pad or something. It looks like they're at the top of a building because you see a bunch of other buildings in the background. And it's just all of the thugs are kind of littered at the bottom of the box, and they're obviously trying to, get up to get at Billy and Jimmy. And Marion is in the hands of, it looks like Jimmy, I guess, because he's wearing red. And there's like the chick with the whip has it like on Jimmy's arm, and it's like wrapped around his arm, and it looks like he's going to pull her forward and punch her in the face. And there's the guy with the beard. The guy with the beard has that morning star in his hand. It just looks awesome. There's like a bald guy. You don't see his face, but you see from the back the bald guy, and he's got this, it looks like a giant caveman stick that that's just like been broken off a tree, and it's all rigid at the top, like it could just stab through your neck or something. It just looks cool. It's really cool art. It's very comic booky as well, actually. I have no idea who did the art for this. I don't know if there's any other art to complement it, if they only made this for the cover or not. I just think it's a really cool looking box art. It's one of the few NES games I did get as a kid. I don't know why. in particular this game was bought, but it was, and it just had really, maybe because the box art was appealing, so it was bought and then given to me. Obviously the game is pretty fun too, which was just a bonus to go on top of the already cool box art and stuff. But Double Dragon 2, yeah, definitely. I love those thugs. It's really cool to see. They're kind of gonna fight, but they haven't started fighting it. I don't know. I think it looks neat.
It sounds pretty.
It's pretty intense.
Pretty intense. Pretty intense there.
The color scheme is really nice too, because it's supposed to be a night backdrop, so it's got a lot of very deep navy type blue colors and some purples littered with little whites and yellows for the lights of the buildings in the background and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it looks cool.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, throw it back over to you.
Back of me. I guess I'll go with the next one here. Next one's another Super Nintendo box art, and that is the cover for Terranigma, which I will always lament it never coming out in North America. But it's kind of, I don't know, I kind of like it. It's a little goofy. It's, goofy's maybe not the best word, but when you first see it, you see Ark, the main character, standing on a pillar and a column. And he's kind of looking down in the ground, kind of. It's like the environment of Krista, which is the first area you're in, and then it has this hole, and it's all blue and stuff, and then it has this hole where there's this kind of red. It almost looks like if you never played the game, you just look at it and it looks like lava or something, and then a blue orb kind of shining down in that pool of lava, and it doesn't really lead too horribly into like what the game is. You don't really get too much of an idea, but it's, for me, it's iconic. It's just a really, like, when I think of box art, this is actually one of the first games that kind of came to mind. It's just, I think maybe more so because of the game than actually the box art, which might be a bad thing, but things I remember it not really having any negative feelings towards the box art. I was like, I'll kind of include it. It's kind of plain, though. Really, the things that stick out are Ark, because he's wearing kind of this, I don't want to say a poncho, but it looks kind of like a poncho, and it's red, and it's kind of contrasting with the really, really kind of either plain grays or browns and the really kind of blue, kind of darker, softer blue. And then the pool of lava, and then the shining blue orb in the center, and so like those kind of things contrast a lot more with Krista itself. So but yeah, it's kind of plain, but it's also, I like how it's one of those box arts that it's not vertical, it's horizontal. Right. So, like, the thing is that Super Metroids was a vertical, so you actually have to stand it up to really, you're supposed to stand it up to look at the box art, as opposed to Terranigma, which is on its side and stuff, and it definitely fit better to do it that way than if they were to maybe try to smash it in standing up, I guess, but that could be kind of, looking back at it, hindsight, so, yeah. Much smaller picture, probably. I mean, that's one thing that Japanese box art did that we never really got in North America. I don't recall any boxes ever being stood up vertically. I think they were all horizontal pictures, right? You're asking the wrong person. Well, you must have seen some of them as a kid, right? No,
the pictures.
I don't honestly remember any of them. I was too poor to have boxed games, so. Oh, I mean, I was, but at the same time, I mean, if I went to the video store with my friend or something, you'd see the boxes. Never did that. Well, you couldn't have been that poor to walk in, at least. Well, I didn't know. I was just more, I guess, not really interested in it. I was doing other things, so. But anyways, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, there might be. I could be wrong, but I think they're all horizontal. Well, because at least all the ones I own. So. Well, the Metroid one too would have been horizontal, yeah. Oh well, this one's vertical. So, and it has the red bands for Nintendo. So I guess I fail at stressing that point. But but yeah, so it's I don't know. I like both. So, and it'll come up here in a little bit. Now, I think there is definitely one that is vertical now that I think about it, but I'll get to that later. So, yeah, back to you. All right, this is the last NES one for a little while, and this is an SNK game that was an arcade game. It was sort of the follow-up to the Ikari Warriors series, and it's called Guerrilla War. I'm not sure if you know this game or not, but basically it was supposed to be a revolutionary game featuring
was that Fidel Castro and was it Guevara?
Che.
I'm probably butchering it. I apologize to anyone listening that knows who I'm talking about.
Right.
But,
I know who you're talking about. I don't.
Sure. But the cover of this game is unreal. It's got both of them on the cover. It's not a very similar likeness to them, but that's supposed to be them in the game. But it's these two guys. One guy's got a red beret. The other guy's got a blue beret. And the guy with the red beret's kind of doing the Predator Arnold Schwarzenegger one-arm machine gun thing. And he's shooting into the forest or somewhere. And he's holding like a prisoner in the other. And the prisoner looks like he's been shot and he's falling into the swamp that they're in. And he's like, ah! And then the guy with the blue bandana is in the top part of the jungle and he's shooting a bazooka and there's like a giant explosion in the background because it hit a mountain and the train is falling off the tracks flaming and there's a helicopter flying by. It's just a fucking awesome cover. As a kid, if you see this, you're like, I need this game. And I love that the word war is in flames. Like it says guerrilla war, and the word guerrilla has got obviously the guerrilla type paint that you would see a lot of military people be using if they were fighting in the jungle for, camo pants or camo jackets and obviously face paint. It's the word guerrilla is like that. And then war is just in green and it's on flame, like in flames. It's an awesome cover. It's sort of like a painting. Like it looks like someone probably painted it, maybe drawn it and then painted it. I think it's a really cool cover. I'm not sure. Again, this was an arcade game, so I don't know if this is the same arcade art or not, but I think the NES art is just awesome. It just looks really cool.
That screams like late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, sure. It's just explosions and soldiers and stuff. And I love the flaming train like falling off the track. It just looks awesome. If you've not seen this art and if you like cheesy 80s action movies, if you enjoyed, the Expendables 2, anything like that, you'll probably get a good kick out of this box art. So yeah, Guerrilla War. A really fun game too. Really, really good.
Awesome.
So yeah, throw back to you, Taylor.
Back to me. And I guess I want to jump out of the Super Nintendo realm here and go to PlayStation. Okay. And from what I remember, the North American version of the box art is, the game I'm talking about is Metal Gear Solid. And if I remember correctly, it's green. It's kind of got that kind of green, like a night vision goggle green look to it.
The North American one?
Yeah. Or is it just the
only one I've ever seen is just the white background with the words.
Okay.
The red words emblazoned on it.
All right. Well, the version that I've picked up it's red. It's got that kind of Konami red, maybe a little bit lighter red than what they use in their banner. Right. And off to the left, it's got tactical espionage action, Metal Gear Solid, and that's kind of in the center. And then on the left part of it, it has Snake and Meryl in that, I can't remember the artist's name, but the guy who does all the art, kind of like the artwork for it. I could look it up, but that would be cheating.
That would be cheating, but that's fine.
But it's got his kind of art style, and he's holding the SOCOM, the gun,
right?
And
Meryl's sort of off to the side behind him. Is that right?
Well, yeah, right. Kind of pushed back a little bit and stuff, and he's like kind of protective, kind of stance for Snake and stuff.
Right.
But no, yeah, I think it was pretty cool.
That's funny. That's the shirt that I was telling you about at Uniqlo that I was going to buy the other day. That sounds exactly the same.
Okay. All right.
Must be where they got that inspiration for. They just took it straight from that cover, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and it's just those kind of red colors, and then at the bottom it's got the little banner that's like tactical espionage action,
right,
and stuff. But I really, really like the cover for it, and like I said, I can't honestly remember the North American one too well, if I can't really call it, if it's just words, but...
Yeah, the North American one is actually on my list. When we talked about having a nice, very straightforward, simple cover, that is Metal Gear. There was something very appealing about just... Obviously, the game was getting a lot of press as well, but there's just the simplicity of just this white background, nothing on it. It just says Metal Gear Solid, and then, as you said, it's the tactical espionage action, and that's all it says. And I think maybe the first run stuff, the red might have been sort of that metallic foil material, so it's kind of shiny. I might be wrong about that. I don't remember because the version I've got, it's just red. I think I've got the greatest hits version or something. So it's just the plain red.
Mhm.
But I don't know, that really worked for me. I thought that was a really nice, straightforward cover that didn't feel cheap because it didn't have a picture. It felt just right for that kind of game. Another
Well,
game, it probably would have fell on its face. If it was Super Mario Brothers and then it was just white, it would probably be kind of like, that's kind of weird. But
that's
for Metal Gear, it just works.
kind of how like the PlayStation Final Fantasy games are. They
Same
have
thing, yeah.
the
Just white.
title, and then like for 9 they have the crystal that's kind of in there.
Yeah, they always have like their little
Logo
symbol for
or
each,
symbol,
for
right?
each one to kind
So
of signify that this game is Final Fantasy 7 or this is 5 or this is whatever.
so yeah, I don't mind that so much. I mean, it can definitely be good and whatnot. It's so, but yeah, that was kind of what came to mind with Metal Gear Solid. So back
Nice.
to you.
The next one I have is also a very simple one. It's a game that I believe you haven't played because we've talked about it before. Heavy Rain.
No, I have not.
Okay, I don't know if you've seen this cover or not. There are different covers, and the cover I have particularly is not the North American one. I've seen the North American one, and I think it has the 4 characters on the cover, if I recall. The one that I have though is it just says Heavy Rain, and it has some raindrops falling on the cover, and it has the main plot is featuring a character called the Origami Killer, who is basically going around getting children and drowning them. Basically, is the main plot. But if he kills someone, he always leaves an origami figure on the body somewhere, sort of as his calling card for maybe the police to try to track him down. Like, haha, I got away again. Can you find me, kind of thing. So he leaves his calling card, and it's always an origami figure. And I apologize to any origami enthusiasts out there. I don't know what the origami shape is supposed to be. Maybe a horse or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but that's all my cover is it just has the origami shape on it, and there's like a little blood stain on the bottom part of the origami figure, and it's just the rain, and there's a few raindrops that have kind of hit the ground and kind of splashed up, and that's all it is. It just says Heavy Rain, and it just has that. And I very much prefer that cover than the North American one of having the 4 characters on the front. I just think again, it's the kind of game. It's a very serious toned game that didn't need to have these kind of goofy pictures of the 4 characters kind of staring off into the distant abyss, kind of thing. It works so much better. It's the simplicity of it intrigues you that much more to find out what is going on here. Why is there an origami shape on the cover of a game that's talking about rain? It just doesn't connect in your mind right away. So I think it just fits really, really well. I think the European one might be the same as the version I've got I suppose it's the Asia version or something, but
Sounds very kind of impressionable there. It's kind of
yeah.
I remember seeing at least I thought I saw the game in game stores, but I thought it was different. For some reason I thought it was kind of like there was rain, but it had you could see there at the bottom or something that there was like a face sticking out of the water part way. Like that's for some reason that kind of comes to mind. I could be thinking of a different game, but I thought that
it could be. I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked that deeply into it. I mean, but that could be also like internet speculation of somebody coming up with, but there's a face, in the clouds or something, or
no,
like
no,
the old Disney covers of there's a penis on the Little Mermaid.
There's totally.
There is. I've seen it in the cast. But that kind of thing. But in that case, it was true. But
So,
I don't know. People see shit everywhere, right?
and most of the time it's either
I
penises
see God in my taco, or that really famous one, or what is it, Jesus in the toast, or whatever.
Yeah.
This chip looks like Jay Leno, like on The Simpsons. These kind of goofy stuff like that.
Oh man.
Yeah, go back to you.
Oh, back to me. Yes, it is. I had to look it up. I'm sorry. Otherwise it was going to drive me bonkers. It is a face kind of sticking out of kind of what looks like a kind of pool of water there.
There was no stipulation saying you couldn't look at the picture yourself. It's just that you couldn't send it to me and vice versa.
Well, yeah, so.
That's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I had to. It was bugging me, so.
All right. I'll let you slide this time. That means I get an automatic victory for the game today.
What? Whatever. Not like it.
Moving along.
Let's see here. The next one I kind of want to go with is for the PlayStation 2. And that is the cover for Eco.
Okay. In a good way or in a bad way?
In a good way. It's one of those kind of, I really like it. It's you've seen the cover for it, right?
Well, the North American cover is very, very different. I've seen the Japanese cover.
Okay, all
And
right. Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
right.
if you've seen the North American.
It's pretty
It's very different.
it's pretty horrid from.
They're not even close.
Okay, so the Japanese cover has the windmill
Right.
kind of in the center. That's kind of like the most prominent thing is when you first look at the covers, you see the windmill and this kind of the windmill is attached to a bigger, larger building, and it's like made out of stone and everything. And then
Right.
kind of off to the right is this weird kind of, I wouldn't say it's an aqueduct, but it has kind of the architectural design of the aqueduct. And
Okay.
a ladder that just kind of goes up to the side.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's a ladder.
Which is kind of like random. But then you have the main protagonist and what the heck's the girl's name?
I can't help you, and I haven't really played it. So.
I don't remember the girl's name. He's dragging her. Well, not dragging her, but he has her in hand, and they're running kind of across this.
He has her in hand running to the motel.
No, I wouldn't say that, but no, he has her in the hand, and he's kind of pulling her along,
Right.
While he's holding a weapon. So,
Ooh, his weapon.
yeah, it's mighty long. Casts a very large shadow too. So.
He's got a pocket full of quarters for the vibrating bed in the motel.
Well, yeah, that is a very large pack of quarters. I would say that there. But I like it. It's you look at it, and it's also the same cover that they used in the book. I don't know if it's the same cover that they used for the book in the U.S. because
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I thought it got released in the U.S. already, but and it's I really like it. It's kind of one of those things that you look at it and it gives that vibe that even though you have the main character and everything, it's really more so about the whole castle, or at least the building itself is more of a kind of a character. It's more of a presence than just kind of being there for you to explore kind of thing. So
Right.
I really like it, and it's got a nice kind of shades of blue for the sky and kind of this weird kind of orange, tan, brown color for the ground and stuff, and the shadows play really nice effects and stuff. So I really liked it. I think it's a really good cover. So
It gives you a lot of the atmosphere, and that's a game that definitely works heavily with the atmosphere because there is so few characters in the game.
right, because I want to say her name's Yorda or something.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
It's kind of a weird name, but it gives you that. It's kind of got that vibe of something that could have possibly, been in existence a long time ago with how the architecture is and stuff. But it's something, of course, that's completely fictitious. So
right. It's kind of got the. I don't think anybody has worked on Vice Versa game, but they've got a very similar feel of that in the Panzer Dragoon series, where it seems like the things are old, but they also have this kind of working mentality, as in you said, the windmill. So things that were used for some sort of work purpose, but they look really old-timey, but could be like an apocalyptic future almost at the same time. So kind of weird like that, but
So
yeah, the North American box art is something I'm going to bring up later on. So.
You don't want to bring it up now, and
no, because I don't have anything nice to say.
okay,
So.
all right.
Try to keep some positive vibes going for now.
Okay. All right, over to you then.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead to the Dreamcast. And the Dreamcast doesn't have, at least in my opinion, very many covers that kind of exude any sort of, at least, uniqueness to them. There are a lot of just, here's the main guy in the game and buy it. Power Stone is kind of like that. Obviously, Sonic Adventure, Skies of Arcadia, Grandia 2. There, a lot of them are just the characters on the cover, or if it's a sports game, it's obviously a cover athlete, or if it's a racing game, it's just a car. Mm-hmm. So not too many, at least from what I've encountered on the Dreamcast, kind of give me this, whoa, that's different. I got to pick that up. But the next game I am going to mention is Seaman. Now, Seaman is a very weird game that I'm sure some people are familiar with and some aren't. It is sort of like one of those Tamagotchi type games where you are raising a creature from an egg to, I suppose, adulthood or something. It's basically a life simulator that you control the creature, and you're trying to help this creature grow into its own being, sort of.
A real
But
boy.
the cover, yeah, I'm a real boy. But anyways, the cover is very unique in that all it is basically is it's a road sign that just says "Caution Seaman," and it has a picture of the Seaman, sort of more or less evolved, not in, well, I suppose, yeah, almost entirely evolved by this point in the game, because the game, you have to take some time to evolve this creature, and it's on the cover and just says "Caution Seaman." It looks like it's been pelted with rain, and it's got all sorts of wear and tear on it from obviously being outside. And then there's a little sign on it that just says Dreamcast, which is also a sort of road sign. And in the back, it's just got these sort of, almost looks like silver ferns from New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of like jungle or something in the background, as if you were walking through the jungle and just be like, "Danger, Seaman ahead," kind of. It's just a very different cover. This is the Dreamcast version. I don't know. I know that the game has been released on the PS2, I think, as well in Japan. And I don't know if the covers are the same or...
I think the PS2 cover is the same. That cover sounds extremely familiar, because you see that and it has...
It's just a weird cover, but it's different. It's kind of cool.
It's different, but it definitely doesn't give you really much of any idea what the game is really about.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, sometimes for me, though, that's very appealing if I'm just like, huh, what the hell is this all about? So, I mean, I kind of knew about the game before. I knew very little, not much about it, but I knew very little. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool cover. I'm just going to buy it. And it was only $20. So I was like, let's give this a shot. And it's a very, very bizarre game, very, very unique. And I don't know if a lot of people would like it, but I like the cover a lot.
Mm.
So yeah, let's go back to you, Taylor.
Back to me. Let's see here. I'll jump back to the Super Nintendo. Go back to the Super Nintendo here, and I want to make a cool little nod towards Rudra no Hiho, or The Treasures of Rudra. I love the game. Love the game last, like, Squaresoft RPG on the Super Famicom. Ever made it outside of Japan, but it's kind of got the syndrome of, here's the protagonist looking off into the void, off to the I guess you'd say the left side,
left or something,
right? And it's a kind of it's really, I don't want to say weird, but it's kind of, their attire is very. In one hand, it looks very futuristic, but in the other hand, it's very kind of medieval, or a little older in a way. I don't want to say like completely medieval or something. It's like apocalyptic medieval kind of idea vibe kind of going there. It's hard for me to explain.
A big mishmash of things going on.
It's unique. We'll say that. Yeah, it's not kind of a standard thing. And they're standing, like, the four of the characters are standing on this really, it looks like a very dead, kind of decrepit tree in a way. And it's this tree kind of sprawls out and stuff, and there's like these eyes in the sky, and the sky is kind of the shades of orange and red and stuff. And
mm-hmm.
Also on the left side, there are these kind of obelisks, which are a really big part of the game, because the whole game itself is really kind of borrowing a lot from Buddhism? No, Buddhism. No, not Buddhism. What am I thinking?
Hinduism?
Yeah, Hinduism. There we go. Thank you.
Okay.
And and a lot of the things from the kind of like the gods and some of the kind of mythos from that. So it's definitely got a different flair for it as opposed to some of the other RPGs that have kind of come out for the Super Famicom by Squaresoft and stuff. And it's pretty. You look at it and you're like, it feels like it's got that sci-fi cheese factor, which it does to a degree, but like a lot of sci-fi kind of like kind of apocalyptic looming kind of sci-fi games or movies kind of have that cheese factor to it. It does have that a little bit, but I don't know, it's really, you see it and you're like, oh damn, there's for It's pretty detailed with kind of what's going on and stuff. So, and it's not like one thing kind of outpowers something else or overshadows something else. It's pretty well even, I would say.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one at all. So.
Well, yeah, it's one that a lot of people don't really know, but it's kind of understandable because it never made it outside of Japan.
Right.
So.
Maybe if somebody has played it, maybe they haven't seen the box art. Maybe because if they've played a fan translation or something, maybe they've never seen what it actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of another one that kind of came to mind. So back to you.
Okay. This is a pretty straightforward one, and probably one that a lot of people liked. And I'm sure you've probably seen this one, the Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo cover.
I don't remember it.
Okay, I don't know what the Japanese cover looks like, but basically the Super Mario Kart cover for the North American box art is just calamity. It's got all the racers mishmashed together in this tiny spot because the Super Nintendo boxes, they, again, like as you said, with Dragon Quest, they don't really take full advantage of the entire box. They always had, a Nintendo seal of approval, and then it says Super Nintendo, and then there is all these just markings to indicate that this was a Super Nintendo box.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only maybe about 75% of the box or something.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got this a bit small area, and you've got Princess and Mario and Bowser, and they're all obviously jockeying for position, and you've got Bowser's like holding his skull because a red shell just bounced off his head, and like the Koopa Troopa is about to slip on a banana peel, and it's just this calamity. And when you see this cover, obviously you'd be appealed by it because if you're a kid and you see Mario and you've played Mario games, you would think this is going to be a fun game. But also the fact that you just see them all crushed together and trying to fight for this position of being first place. And just to think that, whoa, this game must be pretty crazy. It must be really intense. And when you play it, it is a pretty fun game and very unique at the time. A very fun racing game. And I like the box art a lot. I remember my friend had this game. This is one of the few games he had. And I remember looking at the box art for a long time. Obviously, we played the game a lot. I loved the game a lot. Still like it. I think it's got some very, very nice track designs that are very difficult but rewarding once you've mastered them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just this cluster of shit going on with all the Mario characters, basically. And one thing I was thinking about, though, is this must be at the start of the race, because when you play Super Mario Kart and you've become good at it, you never, ever have like all 8 racers in any position that are together, except for maybe at the start. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, either this player really sucks at the game, or there's some sort of glitch or something that has them all racing, together in a bunch if it's not at the start of the race. But I mean, obviously it's just a joke because they're trying to show, and all these characters are included in the game. So, but I just like how Bowser's like holding his skull because he's been hit by a shell in the head. Just and he's kind of near the back part of the race already. So. But lucky for him, it's Mario Kart, and it's got a rubber band effect, so he could still win the race.
Exactly.
So it's a very playful cover.
Cool.
So yeah.
So
throw it back to you, man.
Back to me. I've got another, because you're gonna see some, like, I love the Super Famicom or Super Nintendo box covers. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy a lot of them. And this next one here is Lufia 2's, and it's one of the vertical kind of box art covers. And it has the party looking to the left. But and they're kind of down at the bottom half of the box, so it's not really focused on them. It's more so focused on the Fortress of Doom, or the floating isle that's in the game. So, and more that takes prominence over it, and that's like dead center, and that takes up like the whole center of the box and everything. And at top you have, Estipulus is what they call it, so Estipulus 2, and then. And this kind of looked like it'd be a little bit of a ye old style of riding in a way, and it has looks like the dual blade kind of slashing through the S there.
Yeah.
And, I just really like it because it's like, boom, it's a floating isle, and you'll be going there. This kind of the look.
Someday, sonny boy, you too will reach the floating island.
Yeah. So, but I like it. I think it's nice. Yes, it does have the main characters staring off. They're not like the thing is, it's like three of them aren't even looking at the aisle. They're looking at what's actually ahead of them. And so you
Okay.
have Maxim, the main character. He's actually the only one looking at the aisle. So
Keeping his eyes on the prize.
he's keeping his eyes on the prize. However, what it looks like the airship that they're on, because you can't really tell completely, but I mean, yeah, you can kind of make out that they're in some sort of vehicle. Is that as long as he's not piloting it, since he's not looking where he's going. So, but no, I really liked it. It's the characters are really detailed, and however the aisles kind of vary. It's not too horribly detailed. It's kind of plain, but you definitely know something when you have a floating aisle. Something big's going down there. I mean, tends usually not be the case for floating aisles. But yeah, I just really like that cover. So yeah.
You're going to get up there and it's just going to be a casino run by some media mogul or something. Aww.
So, well, yeah, and if you've played the first one and then you play the second one takes place as a kind of a prequel. And so it's kind of, I guess, for me, kind of having that little bit to it, it kind of adds to it. You're like, oh, sweet, awesome.
Well, it sounds a lot better than, from what I recall, the Lufia 2 box art being for North America. I think it just said Lufia 2, and it might have had Maxim on there, and that might have been it, if I recall correctly.
I kind of remember the Fortress Doom or Lufia ones, and that looking pretty.
That one, they had the characters looking off towards it, but the art was a bit odd compared to what obviously the art style is in the game. But at least it had the characters. I think Lufia 2 really just said Lufia 2 and had Maxim on it.
No.
I mean, it could be wrong, but I think it was really, really plain.
All right. So. But,
maybe presuming that only somebody who played the first game would be interested in buying the second game.
Okay, yeah, and well, this is also another one of those vertical kind of box arts. So
yeah,
but it actually fits really well because of how it's kind of balanced and stuff. And as opposed, if you could kind of make a point of doing it horizontal too. So if you were to kind of stretch, well, maybe not stretch the image, but kind of balance it out to where it was horizontal, I think it'd actually work out as well too. So, but yeah, that's that one. Back to you.
All right, I'm just gonna fire off a quick one here. That is Super Smash TV for the Super Nintendo. Are you familiar with Smash TV at all?
Only in name and I know about the game, but I don't know what the cover looks like.
All right, so the game is just basically this game show that people are dropped into, and they just try to basically fight their way to the end and win tons of money and prizes. And the cover exudes this perfectly. It's got the two contestants on the cover, and they're standing there, and they're in this pile of money, this giant pile of money, which is just awesome. And there's this plethora of meat fodder guys coming from in the background, coming out with like these cybernetic eyes and armor and shit, and they've got these giant clubs with spikes on them, and they're coming after you. Because in the game, there's a bunch of guys there's just meat fodder guys. The stages are just ridiculously long with hundreds of guys coming at you, and they just explode into giant piles of fleshy red goodness after you shoot them. And that's all it is. They just come at you with sticks. And later on, there are some other objects and things that come at you, like some sort of snake type things and such. But mostly it is just these dudes that are coming at you, who later on become armored dudes and stuff. But I just love the cover. The guys have their guns and they're kind of posing, and they're just standing in a pile of money with these giant guys, almost like gorilla-shaped men with clubs coming at them, just like, ah, get them! And so I find it very appealing. As a kid, I saw I'd known the game again. This is a case I knew the game, and I saw the cover. I was like, oh, that's a really perfect cover for this game. It just shows you're trying to fight for survival, but also become basically a millionaire at the same time. So I think it's a cool cover. Yeah, back to you, Taylor.
Back to me. The next one, I guess I should have kind of coupled it together with Eco, but because the two games kind of remind me of one another, and that is, I think it's called Shadow Tower for the Wii. Or Tower of Shadow. Well, it's Kage no To, and it kind of comes out to
Lost in Shadow?
Lost in Shadows. That's what it is. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and the cover it has the tower, and it just shoots up into the clouds, and and it's kind of at an angle. So if you were to like take a photo of it, it'd be like you're trying to get the whole tower in there, and this tower is just huge, and it goes up into the clouds and stuff, and it's kind of got that architecture where it's really kind of, it could be something that could actually exist, but of course doesn't. And I like it sometimes when games have kind of like a little phrase to it or something, or little lines to it, if it's not too corny, I guess,
Yeah.
or something. Like I try not to think of like how, like, because I know a lot of times when they put those kind of lines in there, it can be really, really corny, but I try to avoid thinking of them that way. I just try to get it as at its core value what it's saying. And like in the bottom part, because they have kind of this little gloss to it that for the title, it's kind of black, but then around the black outline it's kind of got this silver lining, I guess, and it makes it shiny. But at the bottom it has in English, well, not weirdly, but it has in English.
This is kind of weird.
Well, not
necessarily,
not
but
really, but
a little bit.
yeah, I guess I actually didn't really notice it until I was looking at it. But it says, "I rode the creepy tram toward the large tower that stood before me, with no idea of what awaited me." It's kind of a
Sounds like Mist or something.
well, yeah, I don't know what Mist is, but what's
Mist would be in the vein of a very atmospheric type game as well. I think it's like a first-person game on the PC. Anyways.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, yeah. So it's just kind of it's this. If they understood English and they bought the game and they read that, they would kind of get this foreboding double lines here, and then like on the side here, it also has like "Kore wa Kage no Shounen no Monogatari." So it's like this is a young boy's shadow's story. So it's kind of like, okay, cool,
Mm-hmm.
So I like it, and it kind of it reminds me of the Eco cover and stuff. So
Yeah, I can see where you get that from. That's definitely maybe even inspired by that, for all we know, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a possibility. So, but yeah, that's kind of what comes to mind. So back to you.
All right, I'm just gonna rattle off a few more of my more positive ones, if that's okay with you.
All good.
Because I've got a fairly significant list of giant piles of turd that I would like to get to as well. So,
Okay.
just quickly, Yakuza 2 for the PS2 is one I really like. It just says Yakuza 2 in red, and it has the main character, Kazuma Kiryu. But instead of the first game, it had it all in color, and he has a very large back tattoo of a dragon. This cover is just in black and white, except for the words that says Yakuza 2. I think it looks much better, much more sleek, a little more professional looking. I really like it. It almost gives it a bit more of a movie feel to it, like a movie marquee sort of.
Oh, okay.
So there's that one. Kirby's Adventure on the NES. I always thought was cool because it's one of the last NES games to come out that I'm aware of. And it has Kirby flying. I think it's the first picture maybe of him as the pink puff instead of just the white puff. And he's eating the cover. Is like how like his mouth is open because he's basically the entire cover. And the way his mouth is open, he's sucking in the cover. He's like almost like peeling it into his mouth. And there's sort of like a little monster thing that's revealed behind it as well. It's kind of a neat cover. It almost breaking the fourth wall in a way, slightly. It's just kind of cute. Life Force, or it would be Salamander, I suppose, in Japan. You might have seen this. It's the sort of sequel to Gradius, and it's got this giant snake coming out of a flaming sun, and it's just
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
that's awesome. The snake's just got the venom dripping from its mouth, and it's just like this beautiful space line like underneath it, and it's just the sun and a giant snake, and it's just badass. It's just so it's badass 80s. That's what it comes down to. It's a really cool cover, and it's just drawn well. I think it's drawn well, and it's very appealing. It just looks neat. The North American one again has the silver Konami outline on it, so I think it really helps accentuate it a lot. The only other ones I got here, I mean, I'm not actually going to mention too many more. Mega Man X for the SNES. For me, it has the right blend for a Mega Man cover. A lot of the Mega Man covers they just don't cut it. Obviously, Mega Man 1, I don't even want to beat that horse anymore. But even like Mega Man 2, 3, 4, 5, they're all kind of, the art is close to what Mega Man looks like in the game, but it's still just kind of goofy looking. Like, I don't know, it would have almost felt better if they just put the digitized Mega Man on the cover for me. I just don't really like seeing them drawn in that, not even quite comic book style. It's just this kind of goofy art that I just don't approve of very much. And I don't know, Mega Man X is like that, but for some reason, just in my mind at least, it feels a little bit less like that. And I like that it's not just Mega Man like shooting somebody. He is shooting, but he's shooting kind of off to the side of the box art, and then the launch octopus is sort of very far back in the background, and it's almost hard to see him somewhat because of the overlaying colors, because he's supposed to be in the water. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I like it. I think it strikes the right balance for me of Mega Man trying to look cool with still having a villain, but it's not like Mega Man blocking a lightning bolt like Mega Man 5 or, like just dumb shit. Mega Man X2, I think, is kind of shitty. It's just him riding the bike, riding the motorcycle, or Mega Man 3 is just him looking at you, trying to be angry, and then like weird shit going on in the background. And I don't know. Mega Man it's just weird. I don't like a lot of the box art for most of the Mega Man. I don't know if you feel the same, but
yeah, the one I don't mind so much is actually 6. Like, it seems to be
where he's flying up,
where he's flying, because it at least looks a little bit kind of,
that looks a lot more like Mega Man,
right? Than particularly with 2. I remember 2. 2 is the one that kind of, because I got that for my birthday. I remember getting that for my birthday, and I seen that, I was like,
who the hell?
I'm like, what is this?
I love he's holding that little water pistol.
And he's like and like Quick Man's like kind of standing there ready to juke him out or something, kind of.
Yeah, he's gonna dodge the bullet.
Or something. It's just like, good.
You should see the European box art. I actually just saw it maybe about an hour ago. I'd never seen it in my entire life. It is absolute garbage. It makes our Mega Man 2 look awesome. It's really bad. I'll show it to you after. But
that's saying something.
Oh man, yeah, it is saying something. I have a few more here, but I'm cool with cutting it there because I do want to get to the
bad ones.
To the shit. But I'll let you continue on with your next one.
Okay, yeah, I don't really have bad ones per se, so.
Oh, that's okay. So just continue on with whatever you got, man.
All right. So, well, the next one I have here is actually a game I stopped playing, but I will eventually.
Because of the box art?
No.
Okay.
I'm not the biggest fan of this game. A lot of people really like it. They say good things about it, but not really kind of amazing things. They're like, oh, it was a nice game. I, however, I got bored with it really quickly, and that is Nostalgia. And
okay, yeah, I agree with that. It's a pretty solid game, but it's got a lot of flaws to it.
I think it's a very plain game. I think
it's very plain.
Too far in trying to kind of churn up nostalgia for people.
Dumb it down, right? Like kind of make a very basic game. It's just I won't get into it too much, but it's a little too basic in a lot of ways.
So, like, the cover has, like, for the Japanese cover, I don't know if they're the same or not, but it has, like, the title in the center. Title's a little different, but but whatever, Nostalgia no Kaze. But the title's in blue, and the rest of it's kind of in the sepia tone. And so, like, the clouds they're kind of like rolling clouds, so how they do that, they kind of draw a little bit darker shades and lines into it, which is a really cool effect. And then you have the characters down at the bottom staring up at this kind of airship that's kind of at the top of the screen, which has a sword sticking out of the front of it, and it's a blimp sword of doom kind of thing. Yeah. And
until the enemies get a slingshot and fucking pop it or something.
Until it catches fire and goes down like the Hindenburg. But then you're really toast because you got a sword flying.
An army of seagulls.
But then it has the party kind of looking up at it and stuff, and they're kind of standing or sitting, and one's even waving. And then past them in the background is a city that's it almost kind of looks like London, because you kind of have a Big Ben building, and some of the
because a lot of it is set in a sort of steampunk natural Earth setting.
Right. So yeah, it's got this kind of like a Big Ben style kind of clock tower, and then yeah, you can kind of see other buildings and stuff, but it's got that very kind of European look to it for its architecture. But and then you can also kind of see grass blowing and stuff. So it's even because it has wind in the title for the Japanese release. It's got wind going on in the box art and stuff, and I like it. I not so much the game, but I like the cover for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the North American one. I just pulled it off the shelf. It doesn't really have any of that. I mean, it does have the title in the middle of the box, and then it's just got the 4 characters, but they're all kind of posing in different ways. Like one guy has the gun. I can't remember their characters' names at all. As you said, it's a bit of a forgettable game. But then the back is sort of like, it's almost like it looks like a virus is like melting into the rest of the box. And I don't mean this in a bad way. It's sort of like it's bleeding out the back, because the regular back is almost just this plain nothingness. And the top corner, it's sort of bleeding into the rest of the picture. And you've got this sort of explosion where it divides. There's a blue side and a red side to it.
Huh.
I mean, it looks fairly appealing, but
It's very
the
different.
bottom part is very generic too. So it's, I guess, leading you to believe like, okay, this game has some plainness to it, but there's this giant world to explore, and we're bringing color to the world, sort of thing, right?
And there are seagulls on this cover, so
Okay.
they'll be taking down that blimp real
that
soon.
blimp's going to be in trouble.
So
Go, my pretties.
so
Yeah, no, this one's definitely sounds very different. Again, it's not bad, but this one's much more generic.
so yeah, over to you.
All right, so I didn't mention it at the start, but I went with a good, bad, and the ugly theme for my covers here. So we've got past the good. It's time for a little bit of the bad. And the bad, these are, kind of just crappy covers. They're not the worst of the worst or anything. They're just kind of goofy and not that great. I'm going to kind of fire these off to you. I don't want to spend too much time, but the first one is a game I really don't like that I've talked to you about before, Rival Turf, which I don't know if it might have a different name in Japanese. I'm not sure. I don't really care because I don't care about this game because I think it's a pile of shit. But it's not the worst game of all time or anything. It was disappointing. So my memories of it are just like, it's just crap. But the cover of this box, a video store was going out of business, and I was with my friend, and they had a bunch of Super NES games. A lot of the good stuff had already been cleaned out, obviously. And so there's just a handful of games left, and we're there, and we're like, well, maybe we can find some sort of 2-player co-op game that might be okay to play. And we see Rival Turf. He looks at the cover, and he's like, this game is fucking awesome because of the cover. And the cover has what appears to be 2 supposedly tough guys from the 80s. And the first guy looks like Marky Mark, wearing a red leather jacket and a black hat, and he's got his hands under his armpits, but his thumbs are sticking up. It was like a pose that I remember a lot of people doing in like the 80s, like putting your arms crossed across your chest with your hands up in your armpits and your thumbs up, so that your thumbs are not in your armpits, but like across your chest, sort of.
Right.
So the one guy's doing that, and then the other guy's behind him, and he looks like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at 14 or something. And he's got one arm that's in front of his forehead, so it's bent, and it looks like he's leaning against the wall, like doing the "hey baby" kind of look. And he's got a red bandana, and he's got the black leather jacket, and they just look like fucking dweebs. They don't look like they're tough or anything. They just look like a pair of losers that somebody this is Jalco, went to some random school anywhere in America and was like, this guy's going to fit the bill and that guy's going to fit the bill. And it's like, they're off to the side even. They're not even in the middle of the box. It's like, they're off to the side and it just says Rival Turf. And it's like orange and red. It is one of the shittiest box arts I've seen ever. My friend, he to this day loves it. He's just like, it's so fucking 80s. Anything that he likes, he just says, it's so fucking 80s. That's like his thing to say. And he thinks this box art is awesome. He doesn't like the game either. We both don't really like the game. But the box art is pretty damn funny.
Screams homoerotica at its finest there.
It's not that bad though, because
okay.
the guys are, the one guy's just behind the other guy, but he's a bit above him.
Right.
Like, so you
bet.
get to see more. Yeah. The other guy, don't turn around. But I'll send you a link to all these, these crappy covers. But man, fuck Rival Turf, seriously.
Oh man.
So you got Marky Mark and Cream hanging out.
Yeah, that's
So,
just.
yeah. Yeah. Rival Turf. Back to you, Taylor.
Back to me. Well, I guess I did pick out one that was really I'm not a big fan of, and this is like the only negative one that I have. So,
All right.
and that is the Mega Drive box art for Sonic the Hedgehog.
The first one.
Yes, and it's got
The Mega Drive one.
right.
I don't know if I've seen this, so you might have to explain.
Okay, well, imagine the 80s with their celebration, little squiggle lines and stuff, and that's exploding out of a yellow circle with Sonic kind of jaggedy. It's really bad. Like, it's just like, it's not even straight. It's like Sonic is, the title is just like, well, at least his name is just not all over the place, but it's kind of in a wavy motion.
Okay.
And, also, it's got this yellow circle and then a bunch of different black squiggles and shapes that are kind of outlined in different colors.
Okay.
It's kind of got this Italian or Mexican flag looking thing because it has like white, like around the circle. It's kind of got this like white box kind of. The shape doesn't end, but it kind of comes to a point and then juts out. And the kind of bottom fifth of the game has this blue banner. It's got Sonic the Hedgehog in it, and then it has in English, "Don't just sit there and waste your precious time. When you want to do something, do it right away. Do it when you can. It's the only way to live a life without regrets." So that's right, kids. Sega is condoning you to do things whenever you can, and
But to sit on your ass and play Sonic the Hedgehog.
and not regret it. So, yeah, and then it's got like the reason why I brought up the Mexican flag or the Italian flag is because there's also green and red in there. It's kind of got don't some of the stage title screens kind of have that color motif for it. It's kind of really plain, but
in Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah,
they had that little weird circle that was at the back end of each title. It was like a double circle. I think it was yellow and blue.
Right.
There wasn't any red or green that I recall.
Okay, well, I don't know where the red and green come from, but and then it's got Sonic kind of doing his usual pose thing where he's giving his little smirk, and he's kind of got his left leg bent behind his right leg, and he's standing on his right leg, and his arm on his hip, and he's
the very classic picture that was used pretty much for all the promotion of Sonic 1.
Right. So
okay.
Yeah, and my God, does this not, like, it's totally scream. It looks like something from, like, Saved by the Bell. I would imagine this being, like, used in Saved by the Bell for something.
Hey, Screech, can you draw a picture for Sonic the Hedgehog?
So, the bottom little, I don't even know what to call it, but
blurb of text.
Yeah, the life lessons from Sega, kind of, yeah. Good God, is this just?
I wonder what the life lesson for Altered Beast was.
Not really sure, but yeah, that was the one that came to mind that I really, I saw that and I was like, good God, I would not, like, thank God Sonic was famous by then, otherwise I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would feel by, like, well, I mean,
sounds pretty shit.
it's pretty horrid. But
I know the North American one had, as far as I recall, two different colors, covers, because one had just Sonic's face, and then it was how the Genesis had that weird digital print for a long time that they used for a lot of their first run games. Mm-hmm. That just was that black bar at the bottom with like the gray bars that went across, and it just said, Sega Genesis 16-bit power or whatever it said. I don't recall, but. And then the picture at the top, and then the Sonic one was just like that. And then they had another one that was actually not that bad. I actually kind of liked it. It was the picture of Sonic that you just said. And it was this sort of peach color, but and it was very early 90s still, but it had a few of those squiggly lines, but they were only in a sort of shadowy color. So they were kind of in shadow on this picture, and it had one of the birds that comes out of the robots, and had just a few little things like that, but it wasn't very... in your face, just blah, like that. It wasn't just a mishmash of just a bunch of bullshit, and throw Sonic on there too because it'll look hot.
Because you could totally take Sonic and Sonic the Hedgehog out of this, and I could say that this game could have been full color dinosaur. I really like. Seriously, it makes like no sense. I don't understand the whole eruption of squiggles outside of whatever.
It's the cover of a Pauly Shore movie. Swirl Dome, dude.
Yeah, so that was the bad cover that I kind of came up with. So yeah, back to you, Sushi.
Sounds pretty garbage. All right, again, I'm just going to try to rattle off here. Maybe I'll just do 3 here real quick. Crusader of Senti for the Genesis. This is not a very well-known game. Pretty good, pretty solid sort of Zelda-esque ripoff attempt by, I think Atlas published it, but I don't know if they made it as well. But the cover is it's just very plain. It just says Crusader of Senti, and then it's basically the hilt of the sword, and that's it. It's just, yeah, I only think of it as being bad because it just seems like such a wasted opportunity. And maybe the game coming out by Atlas as a published game probably meant that it was going to have a very limited run anyways. So I'm going to guess it didn't sell very well, mostly on account of just the fact that, A, it just doesn't have an appealing cover, and B, Atlas just until recently, didn't usually pump out tons of copies of their games at the start kind of thing. So it's just kind of boring. Eternal Eyes for the PlayStation, another one. It's just very slapped together. It's just somebody was using early 2000s Photoshop, put a pair of eyes over a kingdom. A shadowed kingdom with red and black. It's just so lazy. I mean, it was a budget title. It's not the worst game, but it's certainly not the best. It's just a very, very generic, very plain strategy RPG. But the cover is just really, really bad. And one more is China Warrior for the TurboGrafx 16. Now, I know this game came out in Japan. I don't know the name of it in Japan, but it's sort of this Bruce Lee type character that's just walking. He takes up pretty much the whole screen, and he punches blocks and shit that just come at him. And it seems okay. It doesn't seem like the worst game. It just seems very, very plain. But the cover in North America has this Liu Kang type man who's jumping, but his jump looks so awkward where one leg is completely straight down, the other leg is completely horizontal, kicking what looks to be a 1930s circus strongman in the face, which is surrounded by torii gates and random trees and stuff. But it's just, it looks like Karnov mixed with a 1930s circus freak, man. Like, it's just a really shitty cover. A lot of those TurboGrafx covers, a lot of them just got phoned in for sure, and this is one of them. So it's pretty crap. So be wary of Circus Strongman from the 1930s. But apparently you just have to kick them in the face, and you're done. So.
Their weakness.
Yeah, their weakness.
Kicks to the face.
Yeah. So, who would have thought, right?
Yeah, seriously.
So back to you.
I'm going to the PC Engine with this one, and actually, for most of the series, I really like the covers for their games, and that's Ys. I like how they kind of, some of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, they show something that's kind of a part of where Adol is going, or where his adventure is taking place next. So it's kind of got, but it's nothing major. So like E7 has that kind of slab of stone. I don't know if that's the same for the U.S.
No, the North American one has just all of the characters bunched together on the cover.
Okay, well, the Japanese one is it has Ys kind of ingrained, or not ingrained, but yeah, ingrained. That's what I want. Kind of carved into the stone.
Right.
And it's kind of got fossils of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
In them and in the slab of stone and stuff, and yeah, and it's just kind of it's plain, but it doesn't really try to be like, oh, here's all this kind of stuff. It's just kind of like that. And the one that kind of came to mind the most was Ys 1 and 2 for the PC Engine. And It's got the goddess statue on the cover. And Ys.
Almost like the Golden Land in the background, sort of.
Mm. And it's got the Ys right there, and it's like, bam! It's like, yeah.
So, it's a very pretty cover. Doesn't it have a rainbow in it, too? Am I wrong, or?
Not in the Japanese one.
No? Okay. I thought there was a little more color to it than just kind of the gold and greens and obviously the goddess statue, but
Yeah, and then it has like East kind of scratched in with red. Well, East
mhm.
and 1 and 2 scratched in red, but then it also has East, the title, kind of over top of the statue, and it's kind of its typical kind of, I don't want to, like, it's designed for the lettering.
Yeah, just the standard fair lettering or whatever.
But yeah, so I enjoyed that. I enjoy that cover. So yeah, back to you.
All right. I am going to put a cluster of 3 fantasy based sort of games together. Soul Blazer, a game that quite a few people like, actually. And I don't mind it. I prefer Illusion of Gaia, and I've never had a chance to play the third game, which is what, Terranigma, right?
Right.
But Soul Blazer is another one of those just kind of wasted efforts. It's just, the North American cover is just literally a sword. It just says Soul Blazer, and it's a sword, and then it's got off-seeing land, and it's just kind of in a purple and black. It's just very plain, and again, it just feels unfortunate that it doesn't get more just detail or something to it. It's just very, very generic. It's just, if you didn't know anything about the game and you just thought, like, oh, the game probably sucks. If you were just judging it by the cover, you just be, oh, it's probably nothing special, right? It's just a plain game. And so it's just kind of a bit of a tragic loss there. Magic Sword, a good old Capcom game, a very fun arcade game that was also ported to the Super NES, and a very good port, but the box art is quite shitty. And the box art has the main hero, and the main hero in the game has this sort of long hair, but it's tied into this very goofy ponytail in the back. Like, it's this sort of crisscrossed ponytail with this little sort of bun at the end. And it has him on the cover holding like this wooden shield and the sword, and he's kind of got this face like I'm gonna and he's got this Amazon chick behind him, and she's just kind of like, we're gonna do something bad. And then the villain is there, and the villain is this sort of mix of Skeletor with like a green pile of shit or something. I don't know. It's just, he's got like these horns, and he just kind of like got his hands in the air like the sorcerer would have, like he's going to shoot lightning down or something. And he's kind of just like, and it's just, again, not the worst, but a very unappealing cover if you were going to go buy a game. Be like, man, probably not that one. And the last one in this sort of fantasy realm would be Shining Force 1 and 2. And I've seen the Japanese box, and they keep with the theme of the sort of animated characters on the boxes, which is nice and fits it very well. I don't know if you're aware of the North American ones or not, but Sega, for some reason, always felt the need to change the box art for a lot, especially for the RPGs. I think you've seen Phantasy Star 2, right? It's sort of a painting instead of just having...
I don't really remember the box art. Like,
it's not the worst, but it's just, it's one of those box arts that kind of doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. And for Shining Force, they decided to take the back end of Max for some reason, and the box art cuts just at his thighs, and they decided to not put pants on him, and he's basically wearing a skirt, and you can basically see up his skirt and see his ass, and he's fighting off random skeletons that are like trying to climb a mountain to get him or something, and his body is twisted in this very awkward way.
So that it'll show
facing
his
one
ass.
way, but his legs are twisted the other way, and it's kind of like, my ass, oh my goodness, don't see me, I'm exposed. Yeah, it just kind of stinks. The cover art stinks. The Japanese one is so much better. I didn't want to compare the Japanese box art to anything, but it's junk. And then the same thing kind of happens with the second game, where he seems to be wearing a skirt again for some reason. It's Bowie, but it doesn't look anything like him. The face is just some generic, fantasy hero with this random sword in hand and like screaming like, die! And he's kind of coming at you. There's sort of a monster implied at the bottom part of the box art. You don't get like a good view of what it is, but they're just such wasted opportunities. Like I don't know why Sega thought like, well, North American audiences don't care about animated stuff. This ain't going to sell. We're going to make it into that goofy 1970s broad-chested barbarian dudes from the Conan era. Like, I don't know why they think that's cool. It's not. It looks like shit. Sweet. Shit. shit. It looks like shit. On that note, Phantasy Star 4. Why the hell did they change the cover for that? Like, it's not even the worst cover by any means, but why? Why did they need to give them like this goofy look? Like, I just don't get it. I mean, at least they look sort of like the characters. They weren't just thrown on and being like, well, that's supposed to be, whoever from the game. It's just crap. Why did they bother to spend money on some artist? I think the artist's name is like Boris Vajero or something. Not a bad artist. No, he's not a bad artist. He really isn't. And he's but he's famous for making those kind of barbarian, muscular man dudes, like cutting down skeletons and shit. And it's just like, I don't know why they hired this man.
Why hire him when they could have just had Fabio pose on the cover?
Well, they already did for Iron Swords.
Well,
so he was already
Fabio
signed to a claim, so he was unavailable.
Then get Arnold.
Oh, they should have got Arnold. Speaking of Arnold, there's a shit ton of covers that pretty much mimic Arnold or Sylvester Stallone in the Rambo pose. There's a lot.
Oh goodness. So,
yeah. Sorry, you're getting a little rant there. I've only got one more bad one, and then it's back to you. So go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got for the Famicom another exclusive to Japan, and that is the Metal Max game. And I like this game. It's a post-apocalyptic RPG. It's kind of open world, and you're basically a hunter trying to hunt down these bounties that are placed on like really strong monsters and stuff. But the cover has got the kind of like the black and yellow stripes of kind of like caution, those kind of like the Incredible Dummies, like the Incredible Crash Dummies or something. Yeah, sure. And it's got the frame, and it's in a frame. And I know I kind of complain about that, but it's got this Bumblebee look to it, which is always cool. But the picture it's got so much stuff going on. Like they got the main characters riding in this tank, and that's the thing is like your characters will be out, but for the most part you'll want to be in your tanks if you don't want to die, kind of thing. Yeah. And then it has. And it's kind of in the foreground, and it's kind of got this like yellow tinge to it, and the sky is this yellow-orange tinge, and seeing as it's post-apocalyptic, it's got this giant, massive kind of building structure city that's pseudo-crumbling. It's got these orb things that are floating in the air that are like...
I gotta love some orbs. Good old orb action.
Well, they're like those sentries. They're kind of like the robotic sentries that are kind of got gun turrets and stuff. And it's got more tanks off to the side, and on the right side it's got a lot of the monsters, and so like the monsters in the game are like robotic too. They seem to have this kind of robotic, almost like as if electronics turn into the symbiote and then kind of absorb all the animals, and so they're kind of now pseudo-robotic and have guns.
Cyborgs or something?
Right.
Like cybernetic animals?
Yeah, so like they have grasshoppers that have cannons on them. And, there's a hippo that's got a cannon coming out of its mouth, and
that's awesome.
It's amazing. It is amazing. I'll definitely link you to it. And then like at the bottom of one of the treads for the tank that the main characters are riding on and holding guns, and they're like, yeah, kind of look to them. They're crushing one of the monsters and stuff. And it's just.
Does the hippo have like a rocket out of its ass that can fly too?
No idea.
That's pretty awesome. It's got a big cannon in its mouth.
It is so amazing, and and it's from our favorite company, Data East. So
good old Data East.
But yeah, so good old Metal Max. That's
nice,
awesome. I'll definitely show you afterward.
I've heard of the games for sure. I know you've mentioned them before, but I've never seen the box art. So
yeah,
it sounds pretty cool.
Definitely pretty awesome.
Nice. All right. Well, I only have one more bad one, and then I'm going to get ugly. So this is a game that I got this in school. We get these random flyers. I don't know if your school did this. We get these flyers from Scholastic, and they'd be sort of send away flyers that you could order books from.
For
and
the
flyers. Well, sure. I mean, some of the stuff was very much supposed to be geared for educational purposes, and some of it was just young adult novels, or they might have had the odd comic book or something in there as well. But we got this one time, and for some reason, one of them actually had this random Nintendo player's guide type thing. It wasn't from Nintendo. I don't know who had it. I think I still have it somewhere sitting around, but I saw it and I was like, oh, I love Nintendo. I should see if my mom would actually buy this for me because I'd never get games. I was like, I wonder if, she'll buy it because it's a book. And it had like screenshots and pro tips and all that junk in it. And she did. She ended up buying for me. And, I flipped through it. And one of the games in there was called Wrath of the Black Manta. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of this game. And
is it a prequel to the life story of Kobe Bryant?
You have no idea. Anyway, Wrath of the Black Manta.
Mamba.
Basically, it is a ninja game, and it was basically a ripoff of Shinobi and Ninja Gaiden, basically, is what it is. And I remember looking at screenshots and I really want to try this game, and somehow, I begged my mom for $5 or whatever it cost to rent games back in the day, which was probably expensive, to rent this game. And I did. I ended up going to rent the game, and I went, and I was like, where's Wrath of the Black Manta? I'm looking for it. And I see the name, and I look at the box, and I'm like, okay. It's like there's a ninja on it. And I'm like, okay, that's, I guess, ninjas are cool. It's the 80s. Ninjas are cool. And but now when I look at it, and I just shake my head. The box is not that bad, but the ninja is on the box, and he's doing a flying sidekick. He's doing a jumping kick. Mm-hmm. Okay? So picture this. He's doing a flying kick. He's got a katana on one hand, kind of over the back, that kind of typical I'm running with the katana over my back kind of pose. And he's got one of the sickle type weapons, like the short-ended sickles. Mm-hmm. Don't remember the name of that weapon, but he's jumping. And there's a shadow behind him, which I presume was supposed to be him. But the shadow behind him is standing straight up, holding a ninja star. And I'm like, what? Like, I look at it now, and I'm just like, what? I don't understand why there's a ninja that's supposed to be him, because it's the same garb. It's just a shadow, but it's obviously the same shape, and just standing holding a ninja star. And he's jumping across. But the ninja's standing, at the bottom of the box. So does that mean that this ninja can only jump 2 inches high? Like, I don't understand it. The box is just dumb. And it just seems to play on the fact that, well, throwing a ninja on the box is going to make it sell. I mean, look at all those shitty ninja games that came out, like Ninja Golf. Well, ninjas are cool, and golf isn't popular. Maybe we can make a ninja golf game. Or what was that one, that Ninja Scooter Simulator or some shit like the Commodore? And it's like this ninja on a scooter holding a katana. It's like, ninjas were just put on shit for nothing half the time.
What was
Sabotage, where he's on the motorcycle with the Black Panthers chasing him and shit, and it's just like...
What was the one with the one duck one where he turns into a ninja for the Super Nintendo?
A duck?
Yeah, like kind of like a mallard duck, kind of, like kind of like the DuckTales universe kind of thing.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh well, I
don't know.
Just putting a ninja thing.
I have a ninja on the box because it was the late 80s, early 90s was cool. Ninja Gaiden got it right. I mean, that box art for the first game is pretty awesome. It's just Ryu like right in your face, and then the city's behind him pretty much like on fire. But the art is actually very well done too. But I don't understand why his shadow is not following himself, why he can apparently only jump 2 inches and kick. And it's just a shit cover. Not the worst by any means. It really isn't. The game itself is okay. It's not that bad, but it's just kind of shitty cover. And it's just all red. It's just like an all red cover, and it's like Wrath of the Black Manta. Like, I mean, fairly cool name, but fairly 80s cheesy ninja movie name too. American Ninja 12, Michael Dudkoff's Revenge. So, I don't know. That's it for the bad. I've only got some ugly left, so I don't know what else you got left, but I know we're kind of pushing for time, maybe a little bit.
I got a few left here. Another one for the Super Famicom, or Super Nintendo, that is the Seiken Densetsu 2, or Secret of Mana. Okay. To me, it's probably one of the more iconic box arts in games, but that's just because I play RPGs more. But I don't know, it's one of those vertical covers, and it's got the main characters really, really tiny. They're really kind of insignificant, it feels like.
Right.
And they're standing down at the bottom on this kind of, I don't know what part of
like in front of a pond or something, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but they're standing on like a part of the, I don't want to say trunk, but like one of its, what's the word? Roots. There we go. Like an upended root that's kind of surfaced and stuff. And there's these two red crane-looking like birds flying across, and then it's got all of this vegetation, and boom! It's the giant freaking mana tree that's like right there. It's like, yeah, mana tree. So
Yeah, I mean, that is fairly iconic. I mean, because the North American box art was the same. Obviously, just being horizontal. I don't know if it was stretched or not, but I know that box art. And I mean, I've never really played the game, but it's very, very iconic.
Yeah, I really like it. It's really cool, and it kind of definitely lends its hand to kind of alluding to some of the kind of bits that come up in the game. Because yeah, you play Sega Kingdoms, or Secret of Mana, and kind of get to know more about the Mana tree and everything. So, but yeah, I really, really like that one. So back to you.
All right, I'm going to put two together here quickly just so we can keep moving along. The first one is, as you had mentioned, Eco. It's just sad. I mean, I don't like Eco. I'm not like a big supporter of it by any means. I didn't very much enjoy the game, but it's just, I feel disappointed by the fact that it has nice atmosphere and it deserves at least a better cover. And at least if they could have used that Japanese cover, they probably would have even saved money, right? And you wouldn't even paying somebody to draw the shit that they had on the cover. It was the main guy, and he's just got his helmet on, but he's drawn kind of goofy. Like his face is just kind of like he's gritting his teeth.
Dirt face.
Yeah, sort of like he looks really like a kid just playing in the schoolyard sort of thing, but somebody stepped on his toy truck or something, and he's just kind of like, and he's holding a stick. And it's, I don't know. The background sort of alludes to the windmill, but it's all blurry. Like somebody took a blurred picture. Like they moved the camera as they tried to take the picture. Oh shit! And then and they photoshopped this kid, who just looks like somebody knocked over his glass of milk or something, and he's just looking sort of upset, like just not well done. It's just very poor, which probably led to the reason why the game didn't sell well at first, but then became a cult hit over time, right? I don't know. I got the game for $10 a long, long time ago. Like the companies were just dumping them because they had them. They were just dumping them, and I think it goes for a fair amount of money now, which is kind of sad. But I don't want to get into that. Oh man, I don't even want to mention this one. Again, not a game I'm very, very fond of, but Suikoden.
Oh, Suikoden, yeah. Suikoden,
sorry, bad pronunciation. The North American box art for this is atrocious. It's it's got this cluster of characters, and there is this man who's like, doing the Mr. Burns excellent pose, but he's got this giant Fu Manchu mustache, and he's just like very stereotypical 1920s Asian villain type look to him, and he's got the rings on his fingers, and he's got the goofy garb on and stuff. And then there's a guy under him who's kind of got like this pretty boy, like hands on his hip pose with his lips kind of sticking out. And this giant coiffed poofy hair. He looks like Mike Awesome, if you know who Mike Awesome is from wrestling. I remember my friend said, he's like, "That's Mike Awesome! You gotta buy this game!" And then I picked up, it's like, oh, it's an RPG. I guess I'll buy it. And there's just like this flaming skull banshee thing that's like flying around out of a castle, and there's like this dorky mage and this woman holding like I think is a bow and arrow, and a building that I don't even remember because I haven't seen the cover that well, but it looks like the building is flying in the sky. I presume it's on a mountain or something, but it looks like it's flying into space or something. It's just a pile of shit. It's so shitty. Like I don't. Oh no, I have seen the box art for the Japanese one, and I believe the European one probably used the same. But
pretty basic. I mean, it's just got
but at least it has the characters that aren't just like doing pretty boy poses or have Fu Manchu mustaches. Like I'll get you next time. Like it's just fucking junk. It's just junk. Like I don't know why these guys think that they need to change the covers all the time. It's just. Your turn.
Okay. Next one I have here is from Romancing Saga 3, another Super Famicom box art, and it's horizontal, and it's got the title of the game right there in the center in white, kind of like it's been brushed on, like with a paintbrush kind of thing. Kind of got that vibe to it. And then around it is this frame. It's a frame, but it's like this kind of really cool almost feels Mayan, I would say. It's got like a kind of a Mayan vibe to it. And it's just got all these just different cool, really interesting kind of pictures and designs kind of all throughout the sides and stuff. And it's a very, I don't know, it's one of those things you look at and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of a kind of a rust color, and a rust or a green at times. Those are the two kind of main colors that really come out in it. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I've honestly not had a chance to play it yet, just because I just bought it not too long ago. But yeah, so
Interesting.
silence. But no, yeah, it's got like flowers, birds. It's got two faces on, one face on one side and another face on another. It's got some like really weird looking creatures, like a one-legged fish bumblebee hybrid piranha thingy. It's kind of strange, but then it's kind of got like rhino bugs looking like kind of thing. It's weird. Some of it looks weird, but I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's romancing soccer. What do you expect?
Yeah.
So, back to you.
All right, I've got a few more, but I'm pretty much ready to wrap it up here, I think. I think we've definitely talked a lot of box art covers here. So I'm just going to do a quick run-off of all of mine here, and then I'll let you have at it, and maybe we can get into a game. Is that all right?
Let's go.
All right, so Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. This is a Jaguar game that apparently is very terrible. I mean, I haven't played it, but it's got that really bad 1990s CG style cityscape in the background, and then it's got, for some reason, hand-drawn art of the character Trevor McFur with his main squeeze babe, tigress, I don't know, jaguar chick with him or whatever she is, and they're kind of in the forefront holding each other, and in this romantic embrace, I suppose. And it's just a pile of shit cover. It really is. And the bottom has a screenshot from the game. And this screenshot I've probably seen thousands of times, because apparently the game is absolute shit and looks like shit. But this one screenshot that they captured is absolutely gorgeous. And it's the ship shooting, and there's like this demonic bone skeleton type creature that's coming out of the ground. I am so fucking tired of seeing this picture, because every time anyone talks about Trevor McFur or you see anything about this game, you only see that stupid screenshot, because the rest of the game's a pile of shit, apparently. So they even put it on the front of the box because they knew it was the only thing they had going for it. So Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy, supposedly a pile of shit. The cover definitely is. So, Crackdown, one we saw recently, not Crackdown for the Xbox, but Crackdown for the arcade. Remember, we saw this box art for the PC version, and it has, again, two Arnold Schwarzenegger type clones shooting machine guns with this demonic goat thing with like a sort of Star of David burned into its forehead.
It's that, I know, it's an actual symbol. I don't remember.
Anyways, it's got that, but it's got this flame-throwing mummy for some reason on one side of the muscle man, and on the other side, a jumping orangutan. So I don't know what's going on in this game, but it's under the ugly list because it's probably fun times. So there's that one. Another one, Crime Wave, which is like this. I have no idea, some sort of PC game that you and I stumbled across. I can't even put it into words. The love child of Frank Stallone and Billy Ray Cyrus is supposedly the star. It's this guy with a giant mullet, giant shades, just some generic dude from the 80s. It's got this sultry, seductress woman off to the side with piles of money and guns in the middle. And then it's got a man in pajamas with a construction helmet shooting a machine gun, followed by another man on the side of him wearing a pink Taekwondo uniform or some sort of martial arts uniform, but it's bright pink. And it's very apparent this man has no training at all because of his stance of kicking is brutal. And above that is a man's face in an explosion. And I must add that this cover has the taglines of "with real audio sounds" or "real sounds" plus intense arcade action. So you may want to check out Crime Wave for the PC.
And be blown away.
At least the box art. So there's that one. I've got only two more left. This, I don't know. Again, I don't know how to put it into words. Carnage or Carnage, whatever the hell you want to call it.
It's Carnage.
Absolute
Carnage.
Carnage. One of the most bizarre GBA covers I've ever seen. It has this supposed pink hot pink Cadillac that's obviously not moving, but they tried to blur it to make it look like it's moving.
It's computer generated.
It's computer generated. And for some reason, the developers of the cover decided to put a man with spiky blue dyed hair and 2 black eyes and an orange shirt underneath the car, basically. And it looks like the car's ramming into his face, and he's got this look like, ah! And I don't get it. I don't understand what this is supposed to be. And the title is apparently like the love child of Karnov and a fucking monkey or something. Carnage. Like what? The R is highlighted in silver for some reason as well, and it has checkered flags coming out the side of it. It just Carnage. Like what did you do when you went to the store? I would like to order a copy of Carnage. Oh, sorry, that's Carnage. Like,
something. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if the game is any good. It probably isn't, but our good old friends at Jalco pulling out another one from off the deep end there. And the last one I actually found today, it's a game called X-Man for the Atari 2600.
Oh, God.
And it is an adult-themed game, apparently. And the art on the cover has a woman taking off her bra, I guess. This is drawn art. It's not like an actual woman. And she's this very odd proportion where you can see her rib cages and stuff because she's apparently so skinny. But it has this woman like unzipping her bra from the front somehow. Anyways, it's got this woman, and then it's got a man right behind her, like a cartoon man, holding his crotch, like running towards her in like tight shorts. And he's got one of those cut-off 80s tees that cuts off at the abs.
With a midriff and stuff?
Yeah, the midriff shirt from the 80s, and it just says X-Man on his shirt. And he's kind of like got that horny like face, like with his tongue hanging out kind of thing. And he's chased by a mouth with legs and arms, a pair of scissors with legs, and a crab. Like,
I can get the crabs.
I think reference. I get what crabs is getting at.
The
I guess I know what the mouth is for, and I guess the scissors is to snip them, but, right. But it could be like a Pac-Man knockoff, maybe. You're chased by these things to do something to your boner. I don't know. But the M in the title, the X-Man title, the M is apparently supposed to be shaped as though it's the woman's lower body portion. If you understand what I'm getting at, like right. Crotch area. I guess right. They thought that was ingenious, I suppose. I'd never seen this ever. I just saw today X-Man, and I was like, okay, it's a man holding his crotch, running away from a crab that's trying to give him crabs, a mouth that's apparently trying to suck him off, and a pair of scissors with legs. I don't know about
suck him off, maybe bite it off. Or something.
It could be bite him off. I have no idea, but it's unique to say the least.
God.
Go get your copy of X-Man today. I presume it's probably not something that's very common either. I mean, there's those other adult-themed games on the Atari 2600 that are fairly rare, I presume. I don't know. I've never really looked into the prices of them or anything. So that's just a big pile of bullshit there. There's one, I don't know if you're going to bring it up or if you want me to bring it up now, featuring a black hole.
Yeah, bring it up. Let's bring it up now.
Oh, there's one Beyond the Black Hole. It's clearly from the early 90s. It's a man with like his pants hiked up and you can see his socks, and his extremely colorful neon tie is being sucked into a fucking olive. It's supposed to be a black hole, and he's being pulled away from his computer. But he's at the top of the box art, and the olive thing is kind of in the center. I don't know. Beyond the Black Hole. When I first saw it, I thought it was a porno name. Like, it's just like, I don't know what it's about. It's a PC game of some kind. Beyond the Black Hole. I'm done, okay. Taylor. I'm ready for the game.
Okay,
I don't know.
Okay, I got a couple others here. Wanted to throw out another really bad one that probably really hindered the game was Mega Man Legends 2, the North American cover that had like a really poorly computer-generated graphic of Mega Man. It looked really like derp face going there.
Yeah.
Just really poor. The other one, I really like the cover for Xenoblade. I like how it has, like,
oh yeah, that's good.
I guess they call it the Mechonis, I guess is what the English name for the mechanized giant is, and
Oh,
has.
what is it called originally? The monolith or something, or what is it?
Well, no, it's for the mechanized giant in the background because they have the giant in the background because there's the two giants.
Yeah, is the sword named something then?
No, yeah, well, yeah, it also has the sword stuck in this kind of field, and it's called Monado.
Oh, that's the word. Yeah, Monado. That was like the working title for a while, I think,
Right,
for
right.
America. Oh, that's the name I'm thinking.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, and then Mechonis is the giant
Yeah,
mechanized god. So I really like it. It's kind of it doesn't it gives you a little bit of kind of it's like, oh, this is gonna be pretty exciting, and that's pretty giant
and
and scary.
very beautiful because the cover art is very beautiful.
Yeah, it's really like it's really really nice. So
Hmm.
and then the last one here that I have is also for the Wii, and that is Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. And the reason why
Right.
I bring this up is because if you're a fan of Fire Emblem games and you have played them and stuff, you know never to ever just kind of go all willy-nilly at times unless you have some super buffed characters against Dragon Knights. And
Yeah.
like here it has, what the hell's his name? Soth, I think is his English name, because his name's like Saza in.
Is that like the little thief type
Yeah,
looking dude
yeah,
there
he's
with
the
the green hair or something?
right, and he's kind of like coming in trying to help Micaiah,
Right, and
and
he's got two little like plastic forks or knives or something.
he's got knives. He's all like, yeah, and Micaiah's got she's about ready to cast some light magic, and then
Giant spell.
you
Yeah.
have the Dragon Knight ready to shove his spear straight into her
Right
mouth.
down your throat. Yeah.
And I imagine a lot of people were hoping for that because a lot of people, I don't know, like Micaiah's okay, but kind of she's definitely, like, for me at least, her growth stats never really panned out very well. She's kind of always kind of meh. But that does happen with some of the other Fire Emblem games where like the ones where the main lord or hero kind of don't turn out as well, but I don't mind it so much. It's just I wish it would just kind of continued enough to show the spear going into her face. Because
Yep.
it's, I mean, seriously, at the rate that Dragon Knight's going, it ain't stopping.
Yeah.
And it's like
Fear-
right there. It's like 3 inches from her face. So
Fear the spear. Fear the spear.
so, yeah, and then it's not even just he's got the spear, but he's also like the dragon that the Dragon Knight's riding. His mouth's open, and it's no, it can't be further than a foot away.
Right.
She is not going to have a good day. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah,
She's having a better day than the guy on Carnage or whatever.
yeah, right. At the time of that picture, she's having a better day. But yeah, so yeah, that is our, I guess, kind of cover of the art of box art. So
Yeah, we'll see if this goes over well. Or you can probably expect to see some of these on the YouTube link. I think we'll probably do our best to at least track most of them down if we can't get them all. So
right. So
if you haven't seen them, and if you're watching on YouTube, you might be able to check it there. Or of course, you can always just check in your own browser. But if anything, check out the ugly ones at the very least, because they're quite funny.
you'd be a disservice not to.
Yes.
So all right,
Wow. Oof, I didn't realize it was going to go that long. Jeez. What do you want to do here? Jump into a game?
game time.
All right. I have not looked at the list. I have not opened it, so I don't know if you have either.
I have it opened. So shoot off a number, good sir.
Sure. What numbers do I have available to you?
1 to 27.
1 to 27. All right. Let's choose. I think it chose 23 last time, so I will choose 6.
All right, 6. Games
Yep.
with police officers.
Games with police officers. Okay.
So,
Games with police officers.
yep.
Oh man.
So, yeah, you can start us off with that.
All right. Police knots.
Okay. Blue Stinger. That's police officer, right?
I never played Blue Stinger, so
Oh, fuck it.
I'll take your word
No,
for
no,
it.
don't take my word for it. Biohazard. Or Resident Evil.
sure, that's a good one. Crackdown.
Police officers. One thing. I don't fucking know. Time Travelers.
Okay, time travelers. Oh, I just I don't know. Was it GTA?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is not good for me. Legend of Heroes Zero no Kiseki.
Okay. Final Fight.
Okay. Yeah, I have not the slightest clue. I'm gonna bow out now. Really have no idea. Like when
Yeah,
you
geez,
you
I'm
brought that one
struggling
up.
here.
You
Well, I mean,
I blame
yeah,
this one on
there's
you.
definitely a bunch.
I have
I'll
no
go for the win here. E-SWAT.
I have no idea what that is.
It's on the Genesis collection. I think you've played it just for a few minutes, and you're like, yeah, I'm done. It's just kind of one of those throwaway games. It's not bad, but it's definitely not very good. So
Yeah.
yeah, E-SWAT.
That was our half-assed attempt at a game.
Yeah. Well,
I blame you for that because that was your that was your topic.
my call.
That was your topic because I was not.
I mean, there's still others. Yakuza has
never
police
played
officers.
Yakuza.
And not a lot of them are coming to mind, but I don't know. I win.
Yes, you do.
I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I mean, there's we're probably gonna get grilled. Anyone who listens to the game, please send us more police officer games. There's just nothing coming to mind. I think I'm just burnt out after talking about all these box art covers. So, Crime Wave. I'm sure it's got a police officer in it. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be tons, right? We're just not thinking.
Well, but most of those games I don't play, so.
Sure, but I mean, there's got to be some other RPGs or something. We're just.
I don't know about that.
I mean, it could depend on how far you say police officer, right? You could technically say Chrono Trigger. Those guys are kind of police officers. Those guys that arrest you.
Guards, though. They're not.
Sure.
That's not a police officer, though. I think probably the closest I can think of maybe is Earth.
In the year 1000, they were police officers.
They were guards. They were totally guards. I would have called shenanigans on that one.
Well, who cares? I won still. So.
Well, no, yeah. The only one I can think of is Earthbound, but.
Is there police officers in that?
I would assume so. But
I think there is. I think isn't one of them a bad guy? I think one of them's even a boss or something.
I'm not an Earthbound fan. I said
neither.
So, but yeah. So totally flame us for our crappy attempt at a game. And,
yes.
If definitely whatever kind of covers you dislike. Most of the ones that I mentioned were ones that I liked. So
yeah.
If
Yeah,
so.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, please, come out on the Pete Game Room forum. That we definitely have a thread there, and throw up some box arts that you guys like. I mean, we can have some kind of
humorous discussions about some of them.
So maybe actually, I might even go to the trouble of putting a few of these up, these ugly ones, and then maybe we can have a good laugh over that.
So yeah, so that's it. Anything else you want to add there, Sushi?
Not really. I apologize if this was not the most, inspired effort on our part, I guess.
You can blame me for that one because this was my topic.
No, I don't think it's so much. I can understand maybe listening being like, man, if you're not really looking at the box art, but I hope it wasn't too dry and hopefully it'll go over well enough. I at least had fun with it, so.
Yeah, so that's it, guys. Thanks for listening and have a good day.